Hi, I'm Emmanuel Nzunda, presenting my research on grassland loss in Tanzania, causes, consequences, and control. The outline of the presentation with introduction, materials and methods, results, discussion, conclusions, and recommendations. First, introduction to grasslands. We'll know what they are. For Tanzania, grasslands are significant because of large number of ruminants. Tanzania is the second largest number of ruminants in Africa. Globally, grasslands are significant as habitat for both domestic and wildlife. It's carbon sink, erosion control, or it's also believed to be origin of humans. They're also a source of fertile source for agriculture, origin of grass crops, including maize and rice and others. They're also used in experiments, and they're also important as an endangered biome. Studies on grasslands in Tanzania have covered a number of issues, none focused on grassland loss, hence this study. Objectives of the study are to quantify changes in grassland cover in relation to other land use and cover categories, to examine the causes of the changes, assess the consequences of the changes, and assess the control measures against the changes. For the study area, the study covered the whole of mainland Tanzania. For methods, the study used maps covering the whole of mainland Tanzania, showing land use and land cover for 1995 and 2010, and standard GIS techniques for analysis of the changes to cover the objectives. Literature review was also used to gain explanations for the changes, in addition to what was observable from the analysis of the maps. For the results, first we have land use and land cover for 1995 and 2010. And in 1995, grassland covered more than 20 million hectares, whereas in 2010 it covered only about 6 million hectares, and for 1995 the percentage coverage was 23.5, whereas it was 6.9 for 2010. The total change was more than 14 million hectares as loss of grassland, and it was almost 1 million hectares lost a year. The figure was exactly 982 hectares of grassland loss per year. In comparison to the other changes, grassland loss was the largest, larger than that for bushland and forest. And of course, for those that gained, cultivation gained the most, and other land use and cover classes gained the least. The same results are presented using a picture, and there is also a map showing the same changes and distribution of the land use and cover classes for 1995 and 20. There is also a presentation of the results in terms of the net loss and gain, where grassland lost and bushland and forest also lost, but cultivation and other land use and cover gained. There is analysis of persistence of and changes of grasslands, where it's only 3.5% of the study area that was persistent for grassland, whereas it was 6.9 for forest and cultivation, and 4.0 for bushland, and the list was 2.16 for changes to others. And for the statistical relationship of the changes to the factors, protected areas reduced grassland loss, also higher slope, and grassland loss was also negatively related to population density and distance to rail and distance to river, whereas it was higher for areas with higher rainfall. Now, as for the discussion of the results, most of the grassland loss was due to agricultural expansion. Infrastructure was not important in itself, although it would be important because it facilitates access to areas for cultivation. The study also failed to capture effects of infrastructure due to the causal resolution of the maps that were used. Indirect drivers of change are demographic factors, including population increase, refugees, economic factors, poverty, high dependence on cultivation for livelihoods, and technological factors, poor farming technology, and policy, institutional, and cultural factors, including traditions, protected areas, agricultural policies, and poor governance, and globalization, which took mostly the form of biofuel farms. Biophysical factors include droughts, which in this study were shown to be associated with the favoring of grasslands. Drought is expressed mostly as rainfall. Then there are destructive animals, especially overgrazing, leading to bush encroachment. There will also be diseases and insect outbreaks, and fires and floods. Fires favor grasslands. As it was shown for Serengeti National Park, there was persistence of grasslands due to controlled fires conducted to maintain grasslands. As for control of grassland loss, there are efforts to create protected areas, and also there are traditional systems for protection of grasslands, but these have all been affected by inefficiencies, and therefore the trend in loss of grasslands. Consequences are ecological in terms of erosion, floods followed by drought, climate change, and biodiversity due to loss of grasslands. But there are also socioeconomic consequences in terms of reduced grazing areas, reduced farming areas due to floods. There are also conflicts leading to property losses and deaths. In conclusion, we've seen that there is overall grassland loss. This is mainly due to expansion of cultivation, and some grasslands are lost to forest. The indirect drivers are population growth. Consequences of grassland loss are ecological and socioeconomic. As for recommendations, we ask how to reduce or halt expansion of cultivation. And another question is, should forests continue to replace grasslands? Thank you for your attention.